The sun on Vetranine was sharp and dry, and it burned everything under its light, but the old human moved slowly through the dusty streets without care. He pushed a cart filled with plastic bottles of water. His back bent, his face hidden under a wide hat. The wheels of the cart creaked and left lines in the sand, while alien voices laughed in the background. "Look at him again, selling water like a fool," said a blue-skinned alien, with sharp teeth, to his friend, who laughed and threw a small stone. Near the cart it missed, but the old man did not look up. He kept walking slow and silent, as if the world around him did not matter. His name was Rem. But no one here cared about names, especially not human ones. Most aliens on Vetranine believed humans were weak, poor, and forgotten. After the last war ended, they were allowed to live only as workers and sellers under strict alien rule. Rem sold water at the edge of the market, where no stalls stood, only hot wind and broken walls. His cart was old and had a faded earth flag on one side. Most could not read the symbol, and the few who could said nothing. He sat on a small crate, waiting for thirsty customers. Though few came, sometimes alien children ran past him, laughing or throwing pebbles, but he never reacted. His hands stayed folded, his eyes behind cracked glasses, always watching, always scanning the corners of the market and the shadows of the rooftops. One day, a small alien girl, about 10 cycles old, came running too fast. She tripped and slammed into Rem's cart, spilling a few bottles onto the sand. She gasped in fear, expecting a loud, angry shout, maybe even a slap, like many vendors did when touched. But Rem only reached out and helped her stand. As he touched her arm, something strange happened. A flash of blue light sparked under the sleeve of his shirt. Just for a moment, the girl saw it. Her eyes widened. It was a strange glowing mark, like a tattoo, but made of light, not ink. Rem pulled his sleeve down and said in a soft voice, "Go home, girl. You should not be here." She nodded and ran away without a word. But someone else saw it. A tall alien in dark armor stood far away, leaning against a rusted pole. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp like glass. He spoke into a tiny device in his hand. The signal was quiet but clear. "Target may be confirmed. Repeat, human target may be Ghost Unit Alpha. Initiate silent track." Rem returned to his crate and picked up the spilled bottles, brushing off the sand with care. His fingers were old and dry, but they moved steady, as if they had done much harder work in the past. He looked up once towards the rooftops, then looked down again, but his grip on the bottle tightened for just a second. The market was loud, full of alien smells and voices. Creatures of all kinds moved past his cart. Without noticing him, he was invisible, and he liked it. That way, every alien thought he was just another human vendor. Another useless leftover from a war they believed humans had lost, but they never asked what war he had fought, or how many shadows he had walked through before reaching this quiet, dusty place. Later that evening, as the sun dropped low and painted the walls red, Rem packed his bottles one by one. He covered his cart with a cloth marked with strange symbols, and pulled it into a hidden side street. Only a few knew this path even existed. He stopped near a cracked wall, pressed his hand against a small stone, and a piece of the wall slid open just enough for him to push the cart inside. The space beyond was small, cold, and hidden, filled with old crates, old tools, and old memories. Inside, he lit a small lamp and sat on a crate. Opening one of the metal boxes, he took out something wrapped in cloth, something heavy. When he unwrapped it, a black device shaped like a weapon rested in his lap. It was old, but clean, ready. He checked its parts, cleaned the barrel, then put it back with care. Next to it lay a folded piece of armor, human design, light and flexible, marked with a faded name tag, GHOST Alpha 7. Rem sighed and leaned back against the wall. He pulled out a small communicator, no bigger than his palm. It buzzed once, and a voice came through, rough and low. "Unit 7, your signal is live. Mission status remains active. Hostiles on approach. Maintain low profile until signal burn." Rem turned off the device and sat in the dark again, his fingers resting on the armor, like it was a part of him, not just a tool. His eyes closed, but his ears stayed open. Every sound outside made him listen closer, because he knew the market would not stay silent for long. They laughed at him today, but they would not laugh tomorrow. Night came slowly to Vetranine, and the heat faded into cold, dry winds. The city lights above the market flickered and hummed as drones flew between towers, scanning everything with lifeless red eyes. But down below in the narrow alley, Rem sat quietly in his hidden space, his fingers resting on the old weapon wrapped in cloth. His breath slow, his heart still, like the desert wind. Outside, the small communicator on the table beside him lit up again. This time not with a voice, but with a code, a pattern of pulses from the old days of war. A message only someone from Ghost Unit Alpha would recognize, and it came with a warning code: black active ghost units being hunted, confirm identity and location, burn if compromised. Rem stared at the message for a long time, then reached under a broken tile and pulled out a second device, older than the first. Covered in dust, he activated it and spoke in a low voice. Unit 7, awake. Report status, peaceful, not burned. Mission ghost level remain in shadow. End transmission. He turned the device off and placed it back under the tile, then covered it again like it had never been there. His eyes looked at the old armor still folded neatly in the crate, the letters on the tag almost worn out, but still there. Ghost Alpha 7. The past refused to stay buried. Far above on a balcony, the tall alien in black armor watched the market through a scanner. His name was Commander Raoul, leader of the elite unit called the Death Talon Squad. His mission was clear: find the hidden human operative believed to be a danger to future alien peace, expose and eliminate. Raoul had seen the glowing mark on the old human's arm. He had served in the last war and remembered what those marks meant. They were burned into elite human soldiers as identification tags. When all other systems failed, only one group carried that design. Ghost units. He turned to his second in command and whispered, "We may have found one. No action yet. I want confirmation. Deploy silent drones. Follow the water cellar. Monitor his movements. No engagement without my order." Rem rose. Before the sun touched the horizon, he pushed his cart back into the open world, moving like nothing had changed. The bottles clinked softly as the wheels rolled over sand and cracked stone. The market was still half asleep, only a few vendors setting up early, but one pair of eyes had waited for him. The young alien girl, Sarah, sat near a broken statue chewing a piece of dry fruit. When she saw the old man, her face lit up with curiosity. She stood and walked to his cart, trying to see his face clearly. He looked up once and their eyes met. She felt something strange, not fear, not kindness, something between, like a quiet warning. She asked softly, "What is that thing on your arm?" "Yesterday, when I fell, I saw light." Rem said nothing, just handed her a bottle of water and turned away, but she kept walking beside him, asking, "Are you not just a seller? Are you from the war?" "My uncle was in the war. He said humans were brave fighters, not weak." Rem stopped and said in a slow voice, "Little one, some things are not for children to understand. The war did not end for all of us. Some of us just changed uniforms. Now go home. The streets are not safe." Sarah paused, then nodded and walked away, but she looked back once and saw Rem glance at the rooftops, then shift the bottles in his cart like he was preparing for something else, something not related to selling water. Above them a tiny drone no larger than a pebble followed Rem, sending back every image, every sound to Commander Raoul, who watched with growing interest. He saw the girl talking to the human, saw the strange shifts in body language, and he saw something even stranger in the pattern of Rem's walking, a hidden rhythm, a silent code, known only to soldiers. Raoul ordered his team, "Prepare for contact. Observe tonight. Engage. If confirmed, keep all civilians away. The old human may not be just a ghost. He may be the last ghost, and that makes him dangerous." That evening, Rem stood outside the market gates, looking at the horizon, where the red sun bled into the sand. His hands rested on the cart, his back still bent like a tired old man, but in his eyes the fire returned, the fire he thought was gone forever. He walked back to his hidden space, opened the crate, took out the weapon, this time without wrapping it again. He adjusted the grip, checked the trigger, then unfolded the armor slowly and placed it beside him. He picked up a black patch with the faded mark of his old squad and held it tight. He knew what was coming. The quiet days were over. The drones, the voices, the shifts in the wind, everything pointed to one truth. They found him, they remembered. Ghost to neat Alpha hand. Now they would try to erase him, but Rem had erased squads before. He sat in silence one last time, then whispered to the shadows, "Let them come." The sky over Vet was dark and silent, but something unseen moved through the air, without sound, without light, like a shadow, with no shape. 5 black ships, shaped like knives, came down and disappeared into the hills just outside the city, and inside them were not soldiers, but hunters, not scouts, but killers trained to find ghosts, trained to kill humans who refused to die. Commander Raoul stood in front of his team, wearing armor that glowed faint red with symbols of rank. Each member of the Death Talon squad stood ready, weapons, silent faces covered in metal masks, hearts cold as ice. He raised his hand and spoke one word: "Deploy." And without question they moved like wind, splitting into pairs, vanishing into alleyways, moving through the dark under the orders of death. Rem felt the shift in the air before they even touched the ground. He sat near his cart, as if nothing changed, but inside his mind, old memories sparked alive, old training, old habits. His fingers tapped the wooden edge of the cart in a rhythm, 3 slow to fast. That rhythm meant contact. Near, observe, remain still. He knew it by heart. Around him the market continued, as always, alien merchants shouting, alien buyers walking fast, the air filled with smoke and spice and lies. But Between the stalls, Rem saw them not with his eyes, but with his instinct, one near the tower, pretending to fix a light. One near the fountain, drinking nothing, one above him on the rooftop, pretending to sleep, but never moving, never blinking. Here he had waited years for peace, but peace had died long ago. And now the war knocked again, not loud, not angry, but quiet like a knife sliding under skin. Sierra walked by again, her eyes scanning the area like she was searching for something she held. A box of fruit in her arms, but her eyes kept looking toward Rem. He saw her hesitation, he saw the worry, and then he saw the danger. One of the fake merchants dropped something metal on the ground. A sharp clink echoed, and the children playing nearby stopped their game. One of the soldiers moved forward toward Sarah, fast too fast for a normal merchant, his hand reaching under his robe, and Rem moved to he stepped forward and dropped a bottle from his cart. It rolled near the soldier's foot and stopped. The soldier looked down, then looked up into the eyes of the old man standing with his hands folded, calm but not empty, not weak. Something in his eyes made the soldier pause just for a breath. That breath was enough. Sierra ran back toward her home. The soldier turned slightly, but did not follow. Instead, he tapped his hidden earpiece and whispered one word, confirmed inside the command room of the squad ship. Raoul watched the footage on his screen, frame by frame, the eye contact, the stance, the timing, the lack of fear. It was all there, the mark of a trained killer, a human ghost, one of the last and maybe the most dangerous. He sent a single signal to all units: circle form ready, breach mask, active weapons set, no sound, no civilians engage. On my word. Rem returned to his cart, slowly, like nothing happened, like he did not just warn off a killer, like he did not just expose himself to the entire squad. He opened a secret compartment under the bottles and pressed a button. Inside the cart was more than water. It held devices, tools, weapons, memories. He pulled out a flat disc and slid it into the wall behind him, and the wall changed not visibly, but structurally. It became a gate, a shield, a trap, all in one, built from scraps and smuggled tech, built for one thing: to turn this market into a cage for hunters who thought they were predators. That night, the squad moved in masks glowing faintly in the dark. Boots making no sound, weapons pointed, eyes cold. They surrounded the area step by step, street by street, blocking escape, watching each shadow, waiting for a sick land. In the middle of it all sat an old man with a water cart, adjusting bottles like a vendor, trying to close shop early. Nothing strange, nothing loud, only quiet movement, and till a soft voice came from the rooftop above him: "You are under suspicion of war crimes and high threat activity. By order of the Veteranine Command Council, you will surrender peacefully or face termination. Do you understand?" Human Rem looked up, slowly tilted his head, and smiled a sad smile, a tired smile, a smile full of memory. "I understand then." He reached into his cart and pressed one last switch hidden inside a hollow bottle, and the ground beneath the squad shifted. Not a bomb, not an explosion, but light, silent and deadly, a trap that split sound and vision at once. And by the time they blinked, Rem was gone. The alley was empty, the cart left behind the bottles, rolling the shadows deeper than before, and somewhere far above them, near the broken towers, a voice whispered to the wind, "You found me, now find out why that was a mistake." Sierra could not sleep that night. Her mind kept playing the same moment again and again. The moment the water seller looked at the soldier without fear, like he knew him, like he had seen death before, and did not care if it came again. She knew something was wrong, something deep and heavy, that others could not see or feel, but she saw it, and now she needed to know more before the sun rose. She left her room and ran through the alley, her bare feet making soft taps on the stone. She moved past the closed shops, past the food stalls, past the sleeping drones. She stopped near the broken wall, where she once saw Rem disappear with his cart. But now the wall looked normal, no sign of the man, no mark, no trail, only silence and wind. She touched the stone and whispered, "Old man, where are you?" But nothing moved, nothing spoke. She was about to turn away when her foot hit something metal. She looked down and saw a small square plate buried in dust. It had a symbol like a bird made of lines. Something old, something human. She bent down and pressed it, and the wall clicked open. Just slightly, just enough for her to slip inside. It was dark, cold, full of crates and tools and wires hanging from the ceiling. Like spider legs in the middle of the room sat Rem, without his hat, without his coat, wearing a strange suit made of black and gray, with a strange glowing line running across the chest, like a scar that never healed. He did not turn to look at her. He just spoke in a quiet voice. "You should not be here, girl. Go back to your home. This place is not safe. Not for you, not for anyone." Sierra stepped closer, her eyes wide, full of questions. Her voice trembling but firm. "You were never just a water seller, were you? You were a fighter. You were one of them, the ones from the stories, the ghosts that hunted in the dark." The ones even aliens feared. Rem stayed silent for a moment, then turned and looked at her, his eyes not angry, not sad, but tired, like someone who had seen too many endings, and not enough beginnings. He nodded slowly, and said, I was part of a unit that never had a name. We went where no one else would go. We did what others could not speak of. We ended threats before they became wars, and then we were left behind. She looked at the weapon on the table, looked at the armor, looked at the folded flag from Earth, with a burn across the middle, and whispered, Why are you hiding here? Why not go back to Earth? Why sell water in a market full of those who hate you? Rem smiled a thin smile, not of joy but of knowing. He said, Because hiding is what keeps others safe. Because sometimes to protect the future you must let the past believe you are dead. And because I am tired, child. Tired of blood. Tired of fire. Tired of being a ghost, when all I ever wanted was peace. Before she could reply, a loud click echoed through the hidden room. The wall moved again, but this time not by her touch. Red light spilled into the dark, and a voice boomed from above, Found him, target below level 3, send breach team. Rem moved faster than she could follow. He grabbed the weapon from the table, pulled her behind the crates, tapped a button on the wall, and a second layer of stone sealed the entrance. Just as a blast shook the air, dust fell from the ceiling, the room tilted slightly, and Rem spoke into a device. They found me. They breached early. Girl, listen to me now. If you want to live, follow that tunnel behind the crate. Crawl fast. Do not stop. Do not speak. Go to the old sewer under the spy stall. Wait there until morning. If I do not come, do not return. Syrah shook her head, tears in her eyes. I will not leave you. I can help. I know the tunnels. I can guide you. He placed a hand on her shoulder, firm but kind, and said, No, child, not this fight. This one is mine. Now go, before they send more than just soldiers. She ran through the tunnel as the second blast hit behind her, and the wall fell. She looked back one last time and saw Rem standing tall in his armor. Not a vendor, not a beggar, not an old man, but a warrior, ready to face the past, ready to become what he once was. Outside, the Death Talon squad closed in, weapons ready, armor glowing with kill signals. Commander Raoul watched from the tower, his eyes sharp, his voice cold. Prepare to enter. No survivors, unless confirmed civilian. No mistakes this time. And as the breach door fell open, a voice inside the dark whispered, Welcome. The first soldier stepped through the broken wall, slow and careful, scanning every corner with a red beam. The room was dark, cold, empty, but not silent. A soft hum moved through the air, like a machine breathing just under the surface. Another soldier followed, then another. 3 shadows in armor, walking into a trap they did not see, but Rem saw everything from the ceiling above them, where he waited, not as a vendor, not as a man, but as a ghost, with eyes trained to see death before it came. He dropped without sound, landing behind them like dust on wind, and in one blink the first soldier fell. No scream, no noise, just silence. The second turned his weapon up, but too slow. Rem spun the weapon in his hand and slammed the edge into the helmet, and sparks flew. The third turned to run, but the door sealed with a thud, and the lights changed from red to blue to black outside. Commander Raoul watched the screen go dark. His fingers curled around the metal frame, and he spoke into his command mic. Breach failed. Squad silent. Initiate. Code echo. Sweep the area fully. Send all remaining teams. Rem is active. Repeat. Target is live and hostile. Inside the walls of the market, things began to shift. Drones deactivated, stalls sealed tight, exits locked from remote commands. The entire block became a cage, and Rem was the beast inside it. But this cage was not for him, it was for them. He moved like water through the streets, pulling levers, pressing hidden switches, unlocking traps he had built for years. Every bottle in his cart had a purpose. Every wheel had a wire. Every crate held a surprise. Nothing in that market was just junk. Everything was a tool. Everything had a reason to. More aliens moved toward the east gate, unaware of what lay under their feet. One stepped on a pressure pad, and the ground lit up blue for just a second, and then the air froze. Both dropped as a silent shockwave passed over them, leaving their bodies stiff, eyes wide, unable to scream. Rem watched from above, eyes sharp, calculating, hands steady. He had no joy in this, no pride, only duty, only survival, because the moment they found him, the moment the past returned, he knew peace was gone, and now only action remained in the sewer below the market. Sarah waited, heart pounding, fists clenched, thinking of the man above fighting alone, thinking of the war stories her uncle used to tell of humans who moved like wind and struck like thunder. But now it was real. It was not a story. It was Rem, and he was fighting again. Sudden noise echoed through the tunnel. Boots, heavy voices, sharp to alien soldiers swept the corridor. Scanners blinking. One pointed ahead, movement confirmed, signature. Small possible child. The other raised his weapon and took a step forward, but a whisper cut through the dark. Behind them, wrong turned boys before they could spin a flash of metal, and both were down. Rem stepped over them quietly, eyes scanning the tunnel. He found Sarah hidden behind a pipe. Her eyes wide, her face pale, she stood and ran to him, saying, "I told you I could help. I can guide the tunnels. I know every turn." He nodded once and handed her a tiny device. "This will lead you to the far end of the market. Take it, follow the lights, do not lose it. When you reach the surface, wait near the red statue, behind the tea shop. If I do not come in 1 hour, go east, find a man named Corinne. Tell him the ghost walks again, he will protect you." She took the device, hands shaking but her voice steady. "You better come back, or I will tell everyone you cry." When cutting onions, Rem almost smiled but said nothing, and vanished into the dark again, leaving only the sound of boots fading into distance back. At the surface, Commander Raoul watched his map, slowly losing dots one by one, each soldier down, each drone silent, each camera dead. He spoke to his remaining team. "He is playing us. He has turned the market into a field of traps. We cannot move without losing people. Pull back to the outer wall, regroup, prepare the null cannon from the shadows." Rem heard those words and felt the shift. Null cannon meant they were ready to level the whole block, just to erase one man. He touched the old earth patch on his chest and whispered to himself, "Not today." He sprinted through the back alleys, climbing walls, crawling under stalls, reaching his cart one last time. He opened the final lock. Inside was something old, something human, something deadly, and as he held it, the sound of charging weapons filled the air, and the lights of war returned to the sky. Then he stood alone, but not afraid. The cannon hummed with power like a beast, waking from sleep. Mounted on the back of the alien crawler, it aimed directly at the market block, ready to erase everything in one strike. Commander Raoul stood near it, eyes locked on the building where his team had vanished, his hand raised ready to give the command, but then a voice came through his earpiece. Broken, rough, familiar, and "Commute used to be faster. Raoul, maybe the war made you slow." Roll turned sharply, eyes wide. Voice low and cold. "Rem." Above him on the highest tower stood the human weapon, armor tight, blade drawn, eyes burning like a man who had nothing left to lose, and everything to defend. No more hiding, no more traps, now only war. The cannon team aimed again, target locked, but Raoul raised his hand. "Not yet, this fight is mine," he said, and climbed the crawler alone, removing his mask, drawing his blade glowing with alien tech, spinning with power, the kind that could slice through stone like paper. He leaped from the crawler, landing on the rooftop opposite Rem, the wind between them sharp and dry. Their eyes met across the space between death and memory. "I always wondered what happened to you," Raoul said. "I thought Earth buried its ghosts." Rem answered without a smile. "Earth buries its ghosts only after the war ends, and for us it never ended." And then they moved faster than sound, blades clashing, sparks flying, boots scraping across stone, both fighters, veterans, both broken, both full of fire that refused to die. One fought for pride, one for peace, but both knew only one would leave this roof alive. Roll swung first, a wide arc filled with power. Rem ducked, spun, kicked the alien back, then struck, but the armor blocked it. Both men danced across the roof like shadows in lightning, each strike louder than the last, each breath sharper. Down below the markets stayed silent watchers, frozen drones, dead stools burning. No one moved, no one spoke as the two warriors tore the sky open. With every clash, Roll struck Rem's shoulder, slicing the armor deep. Rem growled and twisted away, blood dripping, but his hand never shook. He countered with a low strike, aimed at the leg, hitting the joint. Metal cracked, but Raoul did not fall. "You cannot win," said Raoul. "Not anymore, your time is over." Rem stepped back, eyes burning. "Maybe, but not today." He reached into his belt, pulled a small disc, and slammed it into the roof. Between them, a burst of light blinded Raoul for a blink, and that was all Rem needed. His next strike was clean, fast, perfect. The blade cut through the chest plate and sent the alien crashing down. Raoul gasped, staring at the sky, as Rem stood over him, weapon shaking, blood on his hand, but victory in his breath. "You were always better," said Raoul, voice weak. "Maybe we should have followed you instead." Rem looked down, no anger, no hate, only a deep sadness. Maybe then there would be no war. He turned away, leaving the rooftop as sirens began to sound in the distance. Backup arriving too late. At the edge of the market, near the red statue, Sarah waited, eyes wide, heart pounding, when she saw Rem walking through the smoke, alone, bleeding, but alive. She ran to him, shouting his name. He fell to one knee and handed her a data chip. "Give this to Corin. He will know what to do. The market is no longer safe, not for you, not for anyone. Tell him the ghosts are rising again. Tell him this time we fight together." Sarah nodded, took the chip, held his hand tight and whispered, "You are not just a ghost, you are a hero." Im looked at her and said, in a soft voice, "Heroes are just ghosts who lived too long and Then he stood again, limping but proud, eyes forward, not back, the market behind him burning, the past buried but never forgotten, and ahead of him, a path waiting for one last mission. Smoke had cleared, but the silence was louder than before. The market was no longer a place of trade and noise now, it was marked by burn lines and shattered walls. Drones circled overhead like vultures, scanning for movement, but there was none. Footsteps, no laughter, only the memory of fire still drifting in the air. By morning, the story had already changed 5 times. Some said it was a terrorist attack, others whispered it was a failed raid, but the older aliens spoke with wide eyes and lowered voices. They said it was him, the ghost of Earth, the shadow that never died, the vendor who turned into something else. No one had seen him leave. There were no camera feeds, no tracking chips, no heat signatures, only an empty trail of smoke, and a cart left behind with a single bottle of water resting on top, and a human coin placed neatly beside it, a message. No one understood, but everyone feared. Syrah stood near the edge of the crowd, clutching the small data chip in her hand, eyes scanning the ruins, heart heavy but proud. She had done as he asked. She found Corin, gave him the message, told him everything, and watched as the man once called a coward stood tall again and said the words no one had spoken in years. The ghosts are real, and they are coming back now. Rumors spread across sectors, whispers passed in dark corners of stations and ships. They say the humans have not gone quiet. They say one of them crushed a full alien unit with nothing but his bare hands and old weapons. They say his name is unknown, but his shadow remains. But in the quiet tunnels under Vetrunine, a message played on a private signal, one used only by the old Earth forces. A coded voice, simple and calm. Ghost Unit 7 confirmed, active mission ongoing. Awaiting extraction, awaiting contact, and then silence. In another part of the galaxy, a group of soldiers sat in a dark room, watching the report screen, glowing with static. The leader stood, eyes locked on the coordinates spoken by the child who escaped. With the data chip, he looked around at the others and spoke just one sentence. The old man lit the fire. Now we carry it forward. Syrah walked the market again 1 week later, rebuilding her fruit stall with shaky hands. She no longer felt like a child. She had seen too much, heard too much, and lost the part of her that believed danger lived far away. Now she knew it lived beside her, under masks, behind old faces, inside stories that looked boring until they moved. She placed a bottle of water at the corner of her stall as a sign, not for sale, not for drinking, just a quiet thank you, and beside it she placed a note written in human script, just for words. The vendor was legend. Others noticed, slowly, quietly, and they did the same. Bottles at corners, notes in different languages, but all with the same meaning, not forgotten, not gone, only watching, waiting, ready. The alien council tried to control the story, but truth had already escaped, and it moved faster than lies because it carried fear. With it, fear of the unseen, fear of the past, fear of humans who once lost everything and learned how to survive with nothing. One officer stood in the remains of the command post, reviewing reports, asking the same question again and again. Where did he go? How did he escape? What was he hiding? And every answer ended the same, with silence. Speak. Some ghosts leave no footprints, only warnings. Some say he left Vetrunine and went to another planet where refugees gathered. Some say he returned to Earth to speak with leaders long forgotten. Some even believe he died that day, under the rubble, and what people saw after was just the story growing its own legs. But Syrah knew better. She remembered his voice, his eyes, his promise, and she believed one thing. Without question, he was still out there, not hiding, not running. Just watching, waiting for the next fight, the next time someone needed a reminder that humanity does not kneel, that Earth may fall, but her warriors rise, that old men with water carts may carry more history in their hands than armies carry in their weapons. And so a new name began to rise across back channels and silent codes. Not REM, not Unit 7, not even Ghost Alpha, just one word that spoke of hope and fear and memory. Whenever that word was heard, soldiers sat straighter. Aliens paused in thought, and those who remembered the war lowered their heads in respect, because now the galaxy knew he had no rank, no army, no flag, but the man they laughed at had changed everything.